Hello again, John. Here we go for part 2. Now I'm going to be looking at the plan for my game. So, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, so I'll try and zoom in a bit. So, here is an initial part of my plan. So, main objective things I want to achieve from the game are to be able to make and save a player, to be able to navigate between rooms. The main player objective in the game is to find a special item. So it could be located somewhere and you gotta go find it. I need to be able to fight enemies or somehow interact with enemies, and also some sort of puzzles. Just a brief bit of the story. I had a longer page somewhere with the story on it. I can't remember where I put it, but you've kind of seen it in the first screencast as well. But basically, it's find coin spinner, the sword of power, which brings wealth to its wielder. Find it in the crypt of Dunedain Kings and gotta beat the Dunedain King, which is the main boss in the game. Take the sword and also have fun while playing. So I go back one. Here is the map. Zoom in. Can't really get it any smaller than that and get it on screen, but I have a little key up here. So the star is an enemy. This little symbol here is a door. This box is a locked door, like just there. A circle is a puzzle in a room, and an X is an item for a puzzle. So basically, the game starts off here in this entrance hall, and you have to find the coin spinner sword, which is up here in the throne room. So you go through here at the statue room and find out that this room is locked. Then you find out there's a note somewhere that'll tell you you need an item from here and an item from down here in the dungeon as well to be able to get into the fire room. So you'll solve that puzzle, go into the fire room, head across into the water room. But the water room, this door here, you can't get through. It's not accessible. So you go back in here, you'll find a cube that will activate something in the water room, and then a door appears, and then you can continue on then into the throne room, fight the boss, and take the sword. There's also going to be an enemy here in the altar room, and also an enemy just here in the fire room. So as soon as that door unlocks and you try to go into it, then you fight an enemy as well. And the enemies get progressively tougher. So this one here is really weak, this one is mediocre, and this one is pretty challenging, but at the moment I've left them easy, just for the sake of just actually playing and beating the game rather than making it extremely tough like I would like it. But it's not a big change for when I do want to do that. Okay, so next thing, this is actually kind of blurry, but I'm sure we can see it just fine. Zoom in. Right, so the room class. This fits into the map system in the market scheme. So what the map system is a vector of type that are the type of the vector is room pointers, and the vector then is for it's a list collection of the connecting rooms that are around each room. So it's always going to be sized to 6, which may seem like a bad choice for a vector. Seems that it's fixed size all the time. Where is it? No, a vector I can set to 6. Yeah. So the reason I'm using a vector is so that I can. Oh, getting tired. I can't talk about this. Okay, let's start again. I'm using a vector so I can set the size to be 6 at all times. I know it was either this or an array, but I wanted to use this because I like using the nice and clean vector colon iterator way of iterating through items in it. Also, I read that there is a small overhead with this compared to an array, but it won't make any difference whatsoever on a small scale like this, only if I was using large amounts. So those are the reasons for using that, and obviously it's a vector or an array over a list, seems as I use random access just to be able to get any room from it immediately, as opposed to being able to remove and add things quickly. Anyway, let's continue on. The room needs to have a name as well as this room vector, a description, and a list of items, which for that I'm going to create an item store, which is like a class. I'll talk about that list now in a minute. It also has like a function to check if there's an enemy or a puzzle there. It might have an enemy, or it might have a puzzle. I think when I was writing that down, I was thinking about having an extended version, which like could be a puzzle room or something. But I actually went a different way about that. But there is a slot for an enemy in the rooms now. Some functions that the room should have obviously are getters and setters, although I read online that we shouldn't use getters and setters as it's a sign of code smell, which is a new one to me. But setting your rooms as well, so that'll take in north, south, east, west, up and down, all pointers to rooms, and then put them into the vector in the right order. So north is always vector position 0, south is always position 1, east is always position 2. Also, we need to have a get direction function, or a get by north, or get by south, or some sort of get room by its direction. So player wants to go north, and then I go get player's current position, get the north room, check is it locked, or something like that. Also, add remove item to the inventory. That's pretty self-explanatory. You need to have that. Has enemy, so that'll just check if there's an enemy there. So if the player tries to go into a room and it has an enemy, then it'll trigger the battle sequence with that enemy. Save and load. I didn't actually implement this in the end because I couldn't get the inventory to save and load, but the plan originally was that I could save and load rooms and then do it all from a binary file. But yeah, I'll show you that when I get there. But these did not load in as I thought they would. But let's come back to puzzles. Let me just write this down and go back to puzzles. Okay. So player class. This is actually a lot of work in the game. It's a player class. Jesus, it didn't look so blurry on the phone. Anyway, you can't see these. I'll listen there. Anyway, well, the player has these 4 basic member variables, and then a lot more to go along with it. So we have a name, a password, race, and a class, and then a function setup that kind of sets up these and works kind of alongside the constructor. So the constructor doesn't really do much, and the setup is the bit where all these are assigned. Then, depending on what race and class you pick, you will be given some specific values into your strength, agility, intelligence, intuition, and presence values. And then they could or could not have getters and setters, depending on if I need to get them or not. Right, and then from them values comes these are skills that are used in the game. Well, most of them, some of them didn't really get implemented, although I would have liked to. So first, I'm coming up on 10 minutes, so I'm going to speed it up a bit. We have HB, hit points. OB is offense bonus, DB defense bonus. MM is movement maneuver, which I didn't implement really. Perception, detect trap, didn't implement that, and use item kind of implemented that. Here we have a reduce HP function, which is self-explanatory. In a battle, you're going to need to reduce the HP. Player also has skill points, so skill points will allow you to bump up any of these skills, and then using this function, bump skill, and it'll take in an amount and a skill. They also have level and experience points. They have a pointer to a room, which is the current position, and also a get position function, an inventory, which is an item store, which I just talked about, and also a weapon pointer. Obviously, then I wanted to have save, load, sign up, and log in. Actually, I do have them. I have all them. Apart from the inventory doesn't load in, so every time you load your player, you just get your stats back. What's that one there? That's battling. Item store. Right, this is pretty easy to see. So this is, kind of like what we done for the database CA2. It just has a list underneath, and then some kind of methods that can access that in different ways, like get, add, remove, print, overload the square brackets. Also, this is used in places like in the world. There is an item store, so all the items in the world. Each player has an item store, and a container has an item store, and also a room has an item store. So it makes sense to make this thing. And this is rotated. So this is the item class. Name and description, a pretty basic thing, and then possible extensions. Some of them I implemented and some I didn't. Have usable item, which would affect the player. Didn't implement that. Really wanted to though. A weapon, which didn't actually implement in the end. Quest item, which would trigger events. I did do that because that was very important. Stationary item, I wanted to have but couldn't figure it out. It shouldn't be too hard if I go back and do it afterwards, because I like this game. I'm going to actually finish it off properly. So it just triggers puzzle events in the game. Oh no, sorry, stationary event. It's like something that you can use, but you can't actually pick it up or take it or move it around. Container has an item store in it as well. And then, these are virtual void, use item, and open and look and that sort of stuff. They're all the virtual methods I need. I'll actually save a note to go with that as well. Some nice features that I want to add in the game. So I'll talk about this in the other screencast because I'm going to run out of time here. But that's just, printing nice paragraphs for each room. So this is the game functionality class, sort of, not class, file. It has a setup which sets up all of the rooms, world, player, enemies. It just has intro and outro, game loop, parser, with just kind of bits that make the game work. And there's a run through. That's just exactly what I done in the first screencast. So you start, get the items, solve the first puzzle, get the next item, solve the second puzzle, defeat all the enemies, and take the coin spinner sword and finish the game. And also one thing I skipped after here is battle. That's taking the dice roll engine and add an element of chance into battling each enemy. You also have a choice to heal or attack. Very important to try and make it random and fun, so it's not predictable or repetitive. Puzzles, they're just the two puzzles in the game. So take the cube to the water room, and then make a use item roll, and then in the statue room take in the chalice, and what does that say? Take chalice and blood. Anyway, it's supposed to say take the chalice and the knife, and then pretty much cut your hand and give blood to the vampire, is what that's supposed to say.